Good morning, everyone. So I wanted to make a video. I was just thinking about it, and I'm currently on the way to the post office and then the grocery store, and I was thinking about, some of the issues that I've struggled with personally in life, such as depression, anxiety, and then it even kind of brought me to think about my self-image. For me, my self-image has been like, with my own personal struggle, has pretty much been the common denominator of ultimately mentally what I've struggled with throughout life, and I think even before addiction really started to occur in my life, which it started probably at the age of around 13. I started smoking pot, hanging out with some kids and smoking cigarettes that probably weren't the best kids to hang out with, and then it kind of progressed in a downward spiral from there. So just kind of thinking back on that, and I started to get into heavier things in 18, 19-ish. I got real bad into coke, and I was snorting like a lot of coke up until the age of probably 21, 22, and then that's when I was introduced to crack cocaine, and that literally led to a 12-year homeless addiction, where when I just think back on that, I don't truly know how I survived through all those crazy situations that I was in and placed myself in, and I just ultimately, I'm grateful for God that I was able to live through those and to get sober like I am today, and have been for numerous years, close to, I would say, a decade. I don't even really keep track of the particular sober date, which I probably should, but I know up when right at the beginning of my stages where I was really starting to get sober, I couldn't really get past 6 months. And I would keep track of the days, and it would be just around that 6-month mark, I'd relapse, and I'd relapse really bad, and it would be several $100s, if not several $1,000s, in the course of a day, a few days. So I guess I got to the point, and I didn't go to meetings, and like with AA meetings and NA meetings, and I was also, I would say, I'm an alcoholic as well, because typically when I would snort coke or smoke crack, I would drink, to chill the high of it, and then I enjoyed the feeling of being under the influence of alcohol. So I would say that was another addiction that I was addicted to, and just struggling with that. And I think when I kind of look back on things, and that's what the common denominator that I've really struggled with through life has been my self-image, been unhappy with the way I look. And in particular, I started to tan at like 18 or 19 years of age. I even had family members say, like, I would just obsessively go tanning. I was really into tanning. I wanted to be dark. And it's, you're going to get wrinkles, even when you're 30, you're going to have wrinkles on your face. And of course, you tell anyone that's relatively younger, you're not really going to listen or pay any attention to that. So that is where I've always just struggled with my self-image. And I think a lot of times, in my opinion, generally speaking, if someone, and I think a lot of people do, especially people that I talk to, that struggle with their self-image, generally speaking, for people that struggle with the self-image, if I have a poor self-image of myself, realistically, I'm gonna have a poor quality of life. And that's where my life, I'd always struggled. And even when I got sober, I was still sober, but then I had all the emotional trauma that I endured from childhood, and that's something else I can get into. And even then too, enduring trauma through my 12-year homeless crack addiction. So that's something else that I can get into and talk about if you would like. I'm just pulling up to get some air in my tire, and let me know, and I can kind of expand more on that and talk further on that.